what's your excitement going into here? Because we keep hearing Gear 6. We keep hearing that something Halo might be there. We might get something from Forza Horizon 6. We could get something from Perfect Dark. We could get something from Fable. I mean, the list of games of what we know and potentially some big surprises is only 6 days away. Where do you fall in the excitement?
I mean, Avowed, maybe figuring out that Everwild could be a different game than what they showed, because people didn't like it at that point. Got a lot of down votes. State of Decay 3, which I feel like that one's gonna blow people's heads off if they come, if they actually show it. I don't know. Undead Labs has been sitting there chilling, and you could say what you want about Ninja Theory, and like their one like gripe is Bleeding Edge, which that's where I go and say like Concord remind me of Bleeding Edge, because it didn't get me hyped. It didn't. You know what I mean? And that didn't get me, that's your multiplayer game. I don't know what to tell you, bro. It's interesting because, like, I mean, like I've said before, if there's no Gears at all, I'm gonna riot. I'm gonna be a douchebag. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna be very, very, very angry. I'm going to not hear anybody's, nuances. I am a Gears player, dude. I have like a year and a half in Gears of War between all the games in my life. Okay, I'm not going to have it. All right, you gotta show something. I don't even care if it's like, just Gear 6 and that's it. I don't care whatever it is. You gotta show something from Gears. You've been cooking way too damn long for us to sit here and just deal with it. Okay. And that's where I go and say, look, like Undead Labs, they've been sitting there cooking for a while. State of Decay 2 came out, what, 2019, 2018? Something like that. It came out right after.
Yeah,
it came out after Sea of Thieves, and that was like one of the next titles. And then Gears 4 came into Game Pass and Gears 5. You know what I mean? Like, there hasn't been much that has been exclusive that has come to Game Pass. You gotta look, Call of Duty, we've already talked about it. You have that part of it you've already announced, which I think was really smart, regardless of what people think, that it's going to be an extended part of the showcase. Great. You have to have people gravitate towards your subs or service, whatever you want to call it, but they're going to sub to your service. And you have to go that route, because there are going to be people that only see Call of Duty, and that's all they see, and that's all they care about. But why not get them to really understand what this service provides? And it's going to require some content that looks realistic at times. I mean, you look at the games that have come out, regardless of score or not, if they look good, people will continue to support them. The thing that Xbox has over PlayStation is that they have multiplayer games that they've supported for years. And that includes State of Decay 2. I think State of Decay 3 might be the one that people get their mind blown, because I feel like they've been quiet, and then on top of that you have all these other games. I mean, Avowed, that didn't look great when we saw it for gameplay, but it was gameplay, and we can all agree on that. But they've taken the feedback, and Obsidian's one of those game developers that will implement it. I just I don't understand why people can hate on what's about to happen. But when they do, I'm going to laugh at them because we're going to get variety. We are going to get some really good looking games, probably some games that you're going to be like, like it's not my jam. But is it? I mean, how do we look at Pal World, for example? Like a nothing burger, right? And all of a sudden it blew up. So who are we to say that a certain game is not going to blow up? And then on top of that, having that Call of Duty effect that there's something there for those casuals to watch. I think this is the absolute monumental opportunity for Xbox to take mind share from PlayStation.
Indeed.
Because they screwed up so damn bad that I'm not a platform gamer, but I said that actually, like, my girl would play that and she would love it. Like, where are we at? Like, let's be honest here. Y'all used to give us BS about this stuff. Okay. And I say not every game's for every gamer.
Indeed.
And that's the whole damn point. Like, there's variety in Game Pass. And I think by having Call of Duty at the end, it could showcase, if they do it right, the monumental task they have to be the Netflix of gaming. Because I still subscribe to Netflix. I still pay way more than all the other sub services because I love the variety they give me. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I love that fact. And in gaming, we have that with Game Pass, but I think a lot of people need to realize what we really have with Game Pass. And that's something that they're going to have to realize. And I think Call of Duty is the perfect, storm to throw out there and be like, yes, we understand that not everybody's going to love this, but we are down with it. And I think with the single player narratives right now, I mean, Avowed's supposed to be single player. You got Clockwork Revolution. You got South of Midnight. They're going single player, but they also realize that not everybody's going to like it, and that's okay. But guess what? You add that in with Call of Duty. What does that make? That makes, somebody that plays Call of Duty is going to like this. Oh, somebody who plays Call of Duty is going to like that. Think about it. It's a great opportunity to show what you've been working towards, because at this point we haven't seen enough. We've seen enough, but certain people haven't seen enough. And I think if those certain people change their narrative, their thought process, and actually say, like, yo, there's a lot of games here, that will change the narrative in general. And I think that's what's important and should be important to them.
Absolutely. Again, you said variety. That is the spice of life, as they say, and we're seeing that having a plethora of games from indie all the way to AAA there's something there for everyone. This showcase, though, I think is going to deliver in monster ways, Fuzzy Belvedere. I don't think that they can mess this up. I really don't. I have heard that they're literally balls to the wall loaded with stuff. We're going to get a chance to see many of the things that we've already saw a couple of years ago. We're going to get some games that are going to come to fruition. I expect everything that we've seen to get some sort of an update. I expect Fable to be there. Supposedly, Perfect Dark is going to be there. Again, Certain Affinity has been working on a Halo project for quite some time. That potentially is going to be there. You said it yourself, Forza Horizon 6. Maybe they show up in Japan. Maybe they show up in Tokyo and they show that off. Who knows? Where do you rest with your excitement levels on what is happening in just 6 days?
Well, I think this will be like one of the first years that I'll be looking forward to not just the new games and updates on, games that have yet to release, but also on their continued support for games. Like one of them being with Forza, I'm hoping that they have an update where there's going to be either listings for like the new tracks, or at least like the drag racing or even drifting for that matter. But I'm looking more for the drag racing update, or maybe mode being added to the game. So looking forward to see if they do those things, but also Shattered Space. Like, let's be clear, when it comes to Starfield, I'm really looking forward to that DLC. Want to see what it's going to be about. And I know that they have other updates for it planned. They just did a recent update not too long ago with the 60 frames, things like that. So I'm curious to see what Shattered Space winds up bringing to that game and what other updates they mix in there with it. And then they're going to have the official mod tools out there as well. So we saw plenty of mods as is, and with the official mod tools, it'll probably make it even easier for those creators to do what they do. But when it comes to updates on games that we're aware of, but just don't know when they might land, like your Perfect Darks, like your State of Decay 3s, I'll be happy to see an update on those. Like I know last year we got to see an update on Fable, which was great. Got to see some gameplay. I know people were like, "Oh, there wasn't gameplay." No, there was gameplay mixed in, and then there were some in-engine stuff. But if we get to see more Fable, even better. But I mainly want to see State of Decay 3 and Perfect Dark, which I'm pretty sure they're going to make their way there. And if they can swing in having Gear 6, so Crispy doesn't have to riot, and I'm pretty confident they'll show it. No, because like we as much as the gaming media wants to like downplay the significance of Unreal Engine 5 and the usage in like Hellblade 2, a lot of Xbox studios are using that engine.
Yep.
And I want to see what Coalition is going to bring to the table. We already saw with them, helping and being in like maybe an advisory role for those at Ninja Theory, and you see what they put out. And they're also doing something similar with Undead Labs for State of Decay 3. And then, a lot of the other games, like even, what do you call them? Clockwork Revolution is going to be Unreal. I believe, although I thought originally it wasn't Unreal Engine 5, but I'm hearing that even Perfect Dark is Unreal. So I'm curious to see what all these games are going to look like. Like if Hellblade is the bar now, and these other studios have had time to cook and had similar lessons and time, and they share that information across all those studios, I can't wait to see what some of these games are going to look like. And then there's going to be the surprises, the stuff that we don't even have a clue about. Like we know that there's tons of projects and I hate to bring up some unfortunate news. I hear Avalanche is doing some layoffs. That aside, they're the ones also doing Contraband. Now, I don't want to speculate too much, but typically when companies do stuff like that, that means whatever project was in the oven has wrapped up. So they can slim down between that and the next project. That's not the greatest way of doing business, but that's the way they've been doing business for years. So that means Contraband was probably going to make an appearance at the showcase. But aside from the ones that we already know, I'm curious to see what Double Fine is working on. Like we know Jack Black kind of slipped up and said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be in their next project," and they're already got things working. Like this was after Psychonauts 2 was already released, and we know he was one of the voices there. But can you imagine what the next title, whether it's one well, I'm pretty sure it's one he's been in before. Was it Brutal Legends makes a reappearance? So maybe we see that. And just the sheer fact that there's going to be tons of third-party developers that have partnered with Xbox. Like we've heard Sarah talk about like the many trips that they've taken to Japan, and they have, well, not just Japan, but even Korea, South Korea, as far as like some of the studios that they've been working with for this initiative to get a lot more of those style of games on that platform. And I think she said something like over 40 different studios that they're partnering with. So I'm pretty sure we'll see a handful of those, in the next few days as well. So looking forward to that. Also, the Project Shaolin, which is the Wu-Tang ARPG type game. I really want to see that. And then I think there's going to be some marketing deals that they have. Like, even though it was recently announced that Undisputed, which I've been able to play that on PC in early access, it's coming to console in October. And I have a feeling it's probably, since it didn't show at the state of play, it's probably going to show up on Xbox's stage. And I've had a ton of fun with that game. They got a few things that they got, polish before they do the official 1.0 release, but or at least on console and stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure they'll get all that taken care of. But that game already looks amazing, and to see what it's going to look like on the Series X and the Series S would be awesome. Having that on stage, but I'm also hoping, and this is like one of those like things that were made mention, but it's supposed to be coming in 2025. And me being the NASCAR fan I am, iRacing is making a console and PC non-subscription based racing sim, a NASCAR racing sim, which a lot of those developers are the same ones. If you've heard of Papyrus and Sierra way back in the day, and were a NASCAR racing fan before EA got their grubby hands on it, that's the team that now runs iRacing is going to be making a console and PC, game that you could play against the AI. You don't have to just do the online. You don't have to pay the monthly subscription and stuff. That should be coming in 2025. I'm hoping that makes an appearance because, there have been NASCAR games that have that Xbox has had the marketing rights for in the past. They've even had the NASCAR rights for like Forza a couple of years back as well. So I'm hoping that makes an appearance. But then there's like other games that we're pretty sure some studios have been working on, and we have no idea what that might be. Whether it's, something new from, Obsidian, which, yes, we know Avowed's going to be there. Looking forward to getting a release date for that. But they were talking about doing, was it like 5 games in 7 years or something like that? And we've already gotten like 3 of them. And we know probably Outer Worlds 2 is another. So there's something that's going to be between Avowed and Outer Worlds possibly that we might finally get to see, or hopefully get to see. So there's tons of stuff that I'm looking forward to, not just from Xbox first party studios, but also Bethesda, which Bethesda Online has something that they've been working on for the past 5 years. I'm kind of thinking that maybe it's an MMO Starfield-ish kind of game. Some people are saying that there might be a Star Wars or, other licensed IP type of stuff associated with it. So it'll be interesting to see what that is. But yeah. And in Activision, we already know they had that one studio that was being incubated and that they've been working on something. And I don't know if we get to see it or if it's a CGI kind of thing, because they usually do that stuff to help recruit more devs for that studio. Or whenever you have a new form studio and you have a new game you're working on, the best way to recruit is to have that CGI trailer out there, so those that are in the dev space can be like, yeah, I'd like to work on that project. So maybe we get to see that as well. Something from elsewhere, before they're really even, welcomed into the Xbox family or the Microsoft gaming family. They'll have something to show at the showcase as well. Let's see. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Also, World of Warcraft, I think we get to see more detail on their expansions, which if you're into that, that's going to be huge. There's no BlizzCon, so no BlizzCon. This will probably be the best place to get some insight on some of the things from Blizzard, as well as the expansion for Diablo, which I'm looking forward to that as well. But yeah, it's pretty exciting. It's like gamer Christmas pretty much. And I can't wait to see what gifts we're going to have under the tree for the rest of this year and, going into 2025. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, that makes 2 of us. I think it's going to be a party. I'm very excited to see what's happening. Hey, Gamer Pass Dad, let's get your final take on your excitement levels going into the showcase. It is 6 days away. And I know that Crispy has already said if there's no Gear 6, that he's going to riot. I think there is going to be a Gear 6. As a matter of fact, I don't remember who leaked it, but they said, and it could have been Grub. And again, take Grub for what, whether you believe me or you don't, that they're going to show more than Gear 6 at this showcase, which tells me that we could get the Gears of War collection that has been rumored to be a real thing. And I think it's time for Gears. I really do. I think it's time to show us what Unreal Engine 5 benchmarked once again by the masters of it. Where are your excitement levels going into the showcase?
I mean, I would say like I don't necessarily expect to see anything too crazy. Like I feel like we have an idea of like what's coming down the pike. Like I'm definitely excited, but maybe not overly hyped, but I would always love to just see something out of left field that we don't necessarily expect. But I feel like we're at a point where there's like a good amount of an idea of what we're most likely going to get. But at the same time, like I don't feel like that's a bad thing. Like I would love to see a point where like we get the actual like Microsoft staples like Gears, Fable, Forza, Halo, but have them all be like at a really good spot. Like that's not necessarily a disappointment. But I don't know. Like I really don't know what to expect. I've kind of been a little bit out of the loop of the showcase hype, but I do feel like there's just so much being worked on that no matter what, I'm optimistic because there's so many possibilities for what we could see. And for something like this, I'd really like to see like just things that we haven't seen as much of. Like so I think Nine Lives just said in the chat, like Outer Worlds 2. Like honestly, I'd really love to see where that game is at. Like that was one of my like favorite games of like the last, I don't know when that came out at this point, but at the time frame it came out like 2018-ish or 2019, I can't exactly remember, but when the original Outer Worlds came out, like that was a game that I thoroughly enjoyed and would love to see more of. But really I don't have any specific things that I expect, and I don't think I really have super high expectations, but I feel like I know that we're not gonna have a year where we just get nothing but trailers. Like we're gonna get some big news. Like we're not gonna have to settle for whatever Xbox wants to show us, like state of play style. Like they're doing a summer showcase, and at that point, like it's nice to know that there's enough being worked on that they're proud to show it off and put this effort into it. And it just makes me happy to continue being part of the ecosystem and like not question where I decide to play my games or like what services I decide to pay for. So I would say like optimistic and excited to see what's next, but like no crazy super high expectations that our minds are going to be completely blown, but I'm always open to that experience, you know?